To be honest, creating content and being super public online is not something that comes natural to me. Like, it was something that I kind of had to teach myself. And for the first 6 months of this, honestly, it was my dirty little secret. I wouldn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody in my family or my girlfriend. I told one close friend and one other friend who I worked with for a while who was also trying to do content stuff. And we just kept in touch weekly to kind of keep each other accountable. But that was it. And obviously my editor. So it was really nice to have a small support network, but I kept it hidden from most people. I didn't want to know what people thought about it. I didn't want other people in my life to know. And I think this is something that I struggled with because I tried loads of times. I'll speak more on that later, but a lot of people say, like, don't care what others think and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's true, but it's really hard to turn that feeling off. Like, we're human, we're social animals. We care what other people think. That is the point. You know, some people are really good at turning that off. For other people, it's a struggle. For me, it was really important to have those 6 months where honestly, I didn't tell anybody. There was some level of consistency that I wanted to maintain before I let other people kind of in on it. I didn't tell my girlfriend for 6 months. I hid it completely. You know, even on trips when I was almost with her the entire time, I would find ways around it to still record something and make sure nobody knew about it. Like, I was super kind of almost secretive about it. I just did it in quiet. It was a good decision because it's what I needed. Like, it's not about not caring what others think or whatever. It's just about doing what works for you. I think that's also a big important idea to keep in mind when you try this stuff. I've been recording every day for almost an entire year. I've run a business for the past 3 odd years, software development company. There's a lot of things I need to figure out, but I just hit 10,000 subscribers, and that was a little bit of a milestone for me. And in many ways, the reason it is a milestone is more so just because of what I've started, I think, as a big project. But I want to speak a little bit on how, you know, this journey was in terms of like trying to be a creator and just documenting more things online, because I've tried many times before. I've always wanted to dabble in content. In general, I've always been like interested in it. I think there's a lot of potential, like the whole thing about everybody should build a personal brand, whatever. Like, I know there's a lot of cool things there, but starting was really hard. I've been running a business and like I'm familiar with hard things. There's something about content which is particularly hard because of the nature of like, you know, you putting yourself in front of other people and looking like a fool. I have tried to do content loads of times before this and I stopped because I was embarrassed. The first time I took content a little more seriously was on Twitter. I just started tweeting as much as I could every single day. I started from basically no followers and I would tweet and just spam because my only KPI for success, my only metric for success was output, and I just went with that. And I did that for months. There was a time I think I tweeted like 500 times in a month and I got 12 new followers. 12. Like, it's ridiculously low numbers, but I didn't care. I was winning because I tweeted a bunch, right? Like, that was the only metric for success, and that was one of the best experiments I ever did. But I used that, actually, that was around about 3 years ago, and I actually started the company around that time, and that's how I got my first client. I had about 800 Twitter followers, so we're not talking big following. I was just, you know, doing a lot. I started from zero, so it took a very long time to get up to a few hundred, and then like got to 600-700. That's when I got around my first client. I reached maybe 800 or 900 at the time. And then I started traveling a bunch. I put the money that I got from the first deal into traveling, going to see the world, which I think in general is a good thing, but I lost the Twitter habit, which was a massive mistake. It was a great place to do marketing, especially for tech, which is the work I do. Yeah, so I lost that habit, completely lost it. And so, you know, for the next 2 years, I didn't really manage to take content seriously. When I was in high school, I'm 20 now, so basically I started the company when I was in high school. I tried to start doing some stuff on TikTok about tech. Then word got out about it in school, and, you know, obviously my school friends saw it, whatever. I got too embarrassed, so I shut it down, deleted the stuff. So, you know, I stopped. I tried to start a little bit again in a slightly different style. Then again, I got a little too embarrassed. I stopped, I quit. Then I left school, and over the first summer that I left school, I tried to document more of my traveling and stuff like that a little bit more. I threw a little bit of Instagram, a little bit of TikTok. I tried to edit a little more. I thought things were better. And I actually had a friend reach out and say, hey man, I see you're trying to do this content stuff. I really respect it. It meant a lot to me, to be honest, but I wasn't consistent and I dropped it. Again, I dropped the ball and, you know, fucked it. I lost consistency. So back we are at square zero. Nothing changed. In October of last year, it's now November, right? In October of last year, I hired an editor and I wanted to produce like a video a week. From October to January, I think I produced 3 long form videos or something like that. It was not a video a week, right? Effectively, I failed. I failed miserably. Half the time, you know, he'd text me and I'd be like, hey man, I'm sorry, like I don't have footage for you. I didn't have time, whatever it was. And I was starting to get pissed off at myself because it's like the idea of getting an editor was that I would spend money to reduce the friction to produce things. And so in that way, I would try and get myself to do more. And it didn't work because I obviously missed the deadline and I realized I was trying to plan too much. I was doing these massive like 10 10-step video frameworks, all these things. You know, at one point I got really frustrated with my inability to execute on the thing, and I just decided, fuck it, I will record something every day. I don't care how bad it is, I don't care, you know, how poor quality it is, but I'll just do it every day. I'll make it consistent, and I just focus on output as the goal. It is just to fight this whole failure and consistency that I've been doing and having. And that's where the idea started, this kind of project of recording every day. And I basically recorded every day since then, since I think January 21st, my first video went out. And I used to put the date. Now I slimmed down a little bit. I removed some of the stuff and I just do numbers because it's easier to track and to quickly see, you know, just how long I've been doing it. It's also just become a little bit of a project to me. Not so much around like content or whatever. I couldn't care less, but the fact that I'm building this massive library of documentation around what I was doing in my early 20s, you know, I could be 40 or 50 and watching this, like, I think that is something that I also kind of started to cling to. It's like this idea that it's not about the results that it brings me today, tomorrow, or next week, but that in 10 or 20 years, I would have built this massive project of sorts. I really like these kinds of projects that you do over a really long period of time. I don't know, there's something grand about them. You cannot speed up time, and I think that makes them really unique in that way. It became a little bit of a project, and so I've stuck with it, and man, some videos are terrible. Well, most of them are. I mean, this one probably is. It's not planned. It's off the cuff. I get all kinds of things wrong. I stumble on my words and I make blunders, and my editor helps to cut some of that out, but sometimes you can't do miracles. I think there's a video in March where I posted an 11-second clip of ocean views because I forgot to record, but that was a video and I was like, well, okay, this works. It's a video. I recorded a video that day, so we'll do it, we'll run with it. But it was just this focus of like, I put the bare minimum so low so to make sure that I could hit it every day for a really, really, really long time. And I think that's been one of the best decisions that I've made recently. That's the same reason actually why I didn't purchase like camera gear. I record on my iPhone. I bought the new iPhone because it has a better camera, and I record on my iPhone because it's really simple. And I actually was in discussions with my editor for a while about like which camera I should buy and all this stuff. And then I realized if the one thing I want to focus on is getting this thing done and moving the needle forward the simplest way possible and recording every day, I don't want to make my life more complicated. Found these mics, which are really good, and I think a lot of people use them. But one of the major reasons I wanted these and nothing else was their form factor. They're really small, and they fit in this bag, which is a bag which I use like everything I carry in my desk goes in here. They're basically a set of AirPods, except microphones, you know? And it's like, okay, these are practical. I can use them pretty much all the time. Anywhere. The phone I can record anytime. The filming setup where I'm recording right now is basically my monitor. I have the MagSafe phone charger, right? So my phone sticks to the charger magnetically. I put a little like cable clip on the back of the monitor. I hang the phone charger over the thing, and I'll actually just show it. So you can see, basically, I put my phone here, and it's hung around the back of the monitor with some cable clips, and that's literally the entire filming setup. Everything is focused around just making it sustainable and easy to do for a really long time. And I'm somebody who travels a lot. So, you know, if I had a setup where I was at home every single day and I could just leave my camera set up here, you know, maybe that would work, but I'm traveling, you know, all the time, and I recorded a lot of that. I just focused on what made it feasible for me. And I think that was a really good decision. Anyway, you know, these are just some of the reflections that I've been having since, obviously, I mean, hitting 10,000, I think, it's a nice number. I don't know, it feels like I have something a little more real now in some way. But, you know, obviously I look at the next milestone and things like that. It's important to celebrate the wins along the way. I think that's something that is also really big, and I want to try and celebrate more of. So I appreciate every single person who has supported, subscribed, commented, whatever, throughout the last 10 odd months, pretty much. I'm really looking forward to the shape of this in 2, 3, 4 years time. It'll only get better, bigger. You know, like I'm slowly improving content as well, just making sure that every time I bump up the bar, you know, it's got to stay to a level where I can do it every single day. And so that's why, you know, my first videos were rants, they were rambling, they were awful. One of them's like 40 minutes and it's god awfully boring, chewing through drywall. It's a horrible, but the point is I will make slow improvements, baby steps, and like, you know, started with a microphone. A lot of people said I had shit audio. The new phone definitely helps with the camera quality. Started planning video ideas a little bit better. Next step is basically improving structure and things like that. So yeah, step by step. But it's been cool to start and do something. But in many, it's just like the business, right? It takes time and repeated action. Just repeated simple actions in the right direction. They'll get you extraordinarily far. Yeah, I'm really excited for next year. It's November 23rd or whatever it is, and I'm pretty much already thinking about the goals for next year and things like that. Like I'm thinking about next next year's goals, and I'm pretty excited. And a big part of that, I think, has been this stuff on YouTube has also just been a really good reminder about how simple actions can take you such a long way. And I think in business, it's hard to isolate simple actions sometimes. Like, I think one of the hard parts is, especially figuring things out from the start, is there's so much to do. There are so many options. That drives a lot of anxiety. This has been nice because I just focus on YouTube. I wasn't thinking about, repurposing across 16 different places. It was just long form YouTube stuff. It's something that I've had an interest in for a really long time. It made it really simple to focus and just get one thing right and just focus on the inputs. I didn't have any subscriber goal this year. I just had a goal of 300 pieces of content, which, when I started doing daily, I realized, oh, okay, I'll hit this easily. But the goal was only focused on inputs, and I think that was one of the best decisions I made. And so it was a good reminder as well for me in the business, to be honest, to go back to that kind of thinking, right? Like, this year I had a revenue goal. Next year I lost that I lost it. I dropped it. I don't want to have a revenue goal. I want to focus exclusively on the input goals. So yeah, that's been an interesting reflection. Maybe somebody might take something from that as a reminder. But yeah, anyway, as I mentioned, I think a few times, I record every day. So comment if you have any questions. I try and read those, and I appreciate every single person who's been kind of along for this ride.